Did you know that the NFL wasn't always the massive, high-energy league we see today? There was a time when the field was smaller, the players didn't even wear helmets, and the whole game was just different. So, how did we get here? How did a simple game evolve into the powerhouse we know as the NFL? Well, it all started way back in 1892, and trust me, the journey from there to now is nothing short of fascinating. Let's dive into it. Back in 1892, football was a rough, dangerous game, more like a violent brawl than the sport we know today. Inspired by English rugby, which involved running with a ball and tackling without any gear, Americans decided to make the game even crazier. Early football players would fight, bite, and even gouge each other's eyes out. By 1906, this chaos led to over 100 deaths and many injuries. By 1920, people realized football needed rules to be safer. Jim Thorpe helped create the first pro football league and introduced rules like wearing shoulder pads and leather helmets. They also allowed passing the ball, which was a big change. This new league was named the American Professional Football Association, or APFA. They introduced regular game schedules, started televising games, and brought in plastic helmets to protect players. The inventor of the helmets was so confident, he tested one by taking a hit to the head.
Has faith in his helmet, for he's going to try it out himself. And now watch him take it. Right on the old bean.
These improvements helped football become hugely popular. By 1958, the NFL Championship game was the most watched TV event ever, with 45 million viewers. The New York Giants and the Baltimore Colts played an intense game that ended with sudden death overtime, and the Colts won. In the 1960s, the AFL emerged as a tough competitor with new teams and big money. They paid players more and tried to grab NFL stars and TV contracts. The NFL had to fight back by recruiting AFL players to stay competitive. After 7 years of this cutthroat battle, the NFL and AFL realized they were both running out of steam. So, in a move to avoid bankruptcy, they merged into one league. And then in 1972, the NFL had a wild moment. During the final play of an AFC playoff game, the Steelers' quarterback threw a pass that hit a player's helmet and then fell into another player's hands, who scored the game-winning touchdown. This play, called the Immaculate Reception, was incredible but controversial. Back then, if a ball touched an offensive player, another offensive player couldn't catch it unless a defensive player had touched it first. The replays didn't clearly show if a defensive player touched the ball, so Raiders, players, and fans were furious. The refs even had to phone someone on the Steelers' side for advice. In the end, they called it a touchdown, but the argument didn't stop. One Raiders player called it the Immaculate Deception, and people are still talking about it today.
5 or 10 minutes later,
we were in a locker room. John came in and just said, "Guys, we got screwed."
They call it the Immaculate Reception. I call it the Immaculate Deception.
The 1970s and 80s were all about team dominance. The Steelers won 3 Super Bowls in 4 years with a star-studded team. The Dallas Cowboys also shone, winning 2 Super Bowls and earning the nickname America's Team. But the Miami Dolphins were the standout team, completing a perfect season with a 17-0 record. In the 1980s, the NFL faced a tough time with several plane crashes involving sports teams, causing 191 deaths. This led to a stronger focus on safety, with new rules introduced to help teams replace players in emergencies and prevent dangerous hits.
Good evening. A chartered jet carrying the Marshall University football team home to West Virginia crashed last night as it tried to land at the Huntington Airport. All 75 persons aboard were killed.
In 1985, the San Francisco 49ers drafted Jerry Rice, who became the greatest wide receiver ever, setting records for receiving yards and touchdowns. With quarterback Joe Montana, Rice helped the 49ers win 2 Super Bowls in the 80s. By the 1990s, the Super Bowl halftime show was lackluster, so the NFL brought in Michael Jackson. His show, packed with fireworks and his iconic moonwalk, attracted 133 million viewers and made halftime shows a major event. But off the field, things were just as wild. You won't believe some of the bizarre headlines from that era. Keep watching to find out. In the 90s, things got wild off the field. Ray Curate hired a hitman. Alonzo Spellman threatened to hurt himself because of a phone issue, and Cecil Collins broke into a woman's house just to watch her sleep. In the 2000s, The NFL was booming financially, worth $12 billion for merchandise, TV deals, and sponsorships. Players started earning huge contracts, with Brett Favre making $47 million over 7 years and Randy Moss getting $66 million for 8 years. In 2001, Drew Bledsoe signed a record-breaking $10 million contract, but after a collapsed lung sidelined him, the Patriots turned to backup quarterback Tom Brady. Despite being slow and inexperienced, Brady led the Patriots to a Super Bowl win and quickly became a major NFL star. By 2003, a new quarterback was shaking things up. Michael Vick was like nothing anyone had seen before. He could run like a running back and throw deep like Tom Brady. He changed the game by adding a new threat, a quarterback who could run and pass with equal skill. This style of play paved the way for future dual-threat quarterbacks like Lamar Jackson, Cam Newton, and Russell Wilson. But just when everything seemed to be going great, the NFL got hit with a major shock in 2004 that left fans in disbelief. The Super Bowl 38 halftime show was watched by over 144 million people. Kids, grandparents, everyone was tuned in to see Janet Jackson and Justin Timberlake perform. But during the final moments, Justin was supposed to pull off a part of Janet's costume to reveal a new layer. Instead, there was a wardrobe malfunction, and Janet ended up exposed. This became known as Nipplegate, and people debated whether it was planned or not. Janet said it wasn't, but more came off than intended. The next few years were relatively quiet, with some highlights like Peyton Manning winning his second MVP and the NFL bizarrely banning touchdown celebrations, which fans thought was a dumb move. But in 2007, things took a turn for the worse. The New England Patriots were caught spying on other teams using hidden cameras. They had been cheating for almost 8 years. The NFL fined them $250,000 and took away their 2008 first-round draft pick. Despite the scandal, the Patriots continued to dominate that season, going 16-0. But in the Super Bowl, they were stunned by the New York Giants, who made an incredible catch to win the game. It was a huge blow for the Patriots, but Tom Brady, being only 30, bounced back the next season. In 2009, the New Orleans Saints were caught paying players to injure opponents, offering bonuses for things like tearing ACLs. As a result, 4 Saint players were suspended for 31 games, and 2 coaches were banned for the season.
Today, our partners at Yahoo Sports uncovered a recording, and on it, a New Orleans coach graphically telling players to inflict injuries in a big playoff game.
Want to know what happened next? The aftermath of the scandal was even crazier than you'd expect. The next few years were wild. Marshawn Lynch's touchdown caused an earthquake. Brett Favre got fined $50,000 for sending racy photos, and a snowstorm collapsed the Viking Stadium. The craziest moments was when the referees went on strike and terrible replacement refs messed up games, including a controversial Seahawks win. Fans were furious, and even Obama weighed in. The NFL quickly fixed the issue by settling with the refs. Later, we saw legendary plays like Odell Beckham Jr.'s catch and the Packers' miracle win. But the biggest scandal came in 2015 with Deflategate, where a deflated football in a Patriots-Colts playoff game led to a huge controversy. When the NFL found out that 11 of the Patriots' 12 footballs were underinflated, the team was slammed for cheating. Tom Brady was accused of being behind it all because he threw the balls. The NFL uncovered shady texts and a guy nicknamed the Deflator. After a year-long probe, they suspended Brady for 4 games, took away 2 first-round picks, and fined the team $1 million. But Brady came back, led the Patriots to a Super Bowl, and made an epic comeback from a 28-3 deficit, proving he's the GOAT. From 2017 to 2020, the NFL had its share of drama. The Browns lost almost every game for 2 years. Aaron Hernandez's downfall was tragic, and Patriots owner Robert Kraft was caught in a scandal. Colin Kaepernick's protest caused a stir. The Super Bowl trophy got damaged. Saints fans tried to sue the NFL, and Tom Brady at 42 won his 7th Super Bowl with the Buccaneers. And then there's Antonio Brown, the NFL's wildest player. Known for his bizarre antics like twerking after touchdowns and arriving in practice in a hot air balloon, Brown had a meltdown in 2022. During a game, he took off his shoulder pads, threw his shirt and gloves into the crowd, and ran off giving a peace sign. That was the last time he played in the NFL. Since then, the game has changed big time. Tom Brady retired, the Raiders moved to Las Vegas, and stars like Patrick Mahomes are raking in insane money, $53 million a year for 10 years. But it's about to even get crazier. The NFL has dropped a documentary revealing plans to bring AI into the game. Soon, fans will know exactly what plays are coming before they happen. AI will track players, and there's talk of putting mics in every player so fans can choose who they want to hear. They're even considering replacing refs with AI. The future of the NFL is looking wild, and we're just getting started. If you enjoyed this look at the NFL's crazy history, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of our new videos. What do you think about AI changing the game? Will it be a big deal or not? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.